12th grade, what do we want you to experience with missions? And so what we offer, I guess, what we want you to experience would be being able to do missions locally, domestically, and internationally. And then throughout that, also be able to be trained and equipped to be able to do missions. And just like Pierce said, do it on the trip, but then also go back into your daily life and live out missionally. And so local mission trips, which is our Serve Dallas mission trips, or like during the summer, we do Serve Tuesdays at the apartments. That's a time where you can either spend a week or an afternoon, like on Serve Tuesdays, and be in your own context, partnering with our church in the neighborhoods that surround our church and our missional communities, and are serving the people around us in our own backyards, in our own neighborhoods, in our immediate context. And so it's places where, like, we can be people that we come across consistently. And so it's just teaching our students, like, this is a place where, like, we do life, where even after the week of Serve Dallas, where you can have a hand in during the school year. And that's that you can start in 7th grade, a time where a 7th grader is able to be a part of. And then domestically, this is taking a step out of your context, so out of Dallas, but still being in your country of origin, but also being in like cross-cultural missions. So like this past summer, before COVID, we were going to go to South Dakota. So it was stepping outside of your cultural context, and we were going to go and serve on an Indian reservation, a Native American reservation, and serve with people very different than we are, in a very different context than we are, but that are still in America. And so, like, that was going to be for high schoolers. So for 9th through 12th graders, we're going to be able to experience that. But it was still in America. And then we have international or global opportunities. And so that would be to go to Honduras, and that was for 9th through 12th graders, or to go to Spain, which some 10th through 12th graders did, or to go to England, which some 10th through 12th graders did. And that is to show that the gospel is not stopped by an ocean, or the gospel is not stopped by a border or a language, but that we can still share the gospel in a different language, or we can still share the gospel in a different country, and it's stepping out of our comfort zones. I went on the England trip when I was 16, and I had only been out of the country once, and I had no idea what they were saying half the time because I couldn't understand their accents, and I learned so much on that trip, and it was a very different cultural context. But the Lord taught me that stepping out of my comfort zone and to a completely different culture, that he could move just as much as he can move in America, and that the gospel is not just for America. God is not just the God of America, he is the God of all of the nations. And so that is what your child or you as a student can learn going on an international mission trip. And so during your time at the Heights from 7th to 12th grade, we want you to have the opportunity to partake in a number of service opportunities in different locations, in different socioeconomic statuses, and different spiritual temperatures across the area, the nation, and the globe. And then lastly, we want you to be able to participate in trainings, whether that be during your time at Serve Dallas, whether that be leading the couple months leading up to a trip, either domestically or internationally, that equip you specifically for that trip you're going to go on, or even more so, equip you to, when you get back from that trip, go and live out what it looks like to be a Christ follower, like Pierce said, in your second period. Because yes, we meet with you every other week to help train you to practically share the gospel to the people in South Dakota, or practically share the gospel to the people in England. But even more so, like, yes, those 10 days are important, but you have 5 years with the people at Wiley Prep, or 5 years with the people in your Plano schools. And so that to us is more important than just the 10 days of the trip that you're paying for to go on. So that is our hope, and our vision and our strategy as Heights students, and for the mission trips that you guys are going to be going on. So I want to invite Richard up, and he has been working as a mission pastor for ever. I don't know how long, but he has been on a number of trips with Heights students, and so I just want him to talk a little bit about his experience, but then also how it has connected with the wider church, because it's not just Heights students separated from the Heights Church. We are a part of the bigger body, and so it is connected. And so I want him to talk a little bit about that.
Man, thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk to you for a minute. I love missions, and I love to talk about it. So it's incredibly honoring for me to be here. So every morning, I have the honor of taking my youngest son, Crockett, to school. And so we go through the little carpool line, and every morning I kiss him on his forehead, and as the people open the door, what do I say to him? That's exactly right. Have a great day. I want you to always know that I love you, right? So the last thing I say to him when he leaves is I love you. And I think about your own life, like when you leave for the day or you leave for a trip, probably the last thing that you're going to say to your family members and loved ones is I love you, because it's the most important thing, right? We reserve the last thing we say to people, or goodbyes. We reserve the most important thing for the last thing we say. I love you. Listen to what Jesus said when he said goodbye to his disciples before he ascended, right? So we read this in Acts, and it says this in verse 7. It says, it is not for you to know the times or the dates the Father has set by his own authority, but you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in all of Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. So the mandate for us to go and talk about how awesome and great Jesus Christ is to people in our local area, to people in our state and in our nation, and the next level of being away from us, and then to the ends of the earth, international. That is the last message that Jesus gave his disciples when he left this earth. That was the most important thing. He wanted you to know, you receive, the Holy Spirit will give you power, and this is important to me. So why is missions important to our church? Because it's important to Jesus. And Jesus encouraged us and challenged us to do this. And so, man, the Heights has just a great legacy of people who have gone before us that have been missional. This church has been missional since day one. This church, people within this church have started churches all over the globe. If you look at some of our seniors right now and see what they did missionally in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, it'll blow your mind how invested this church has been to missions over the years. So we get to stand on that legacy, and we're excited about that. And the reasons why I'm so excited about mission trips, and why I want every student to go on a mission trip, more than one, is because I feel that you are connected to Jesus Christ and God our Father in a way that he always wants you to, right? What do I mean by that? I really believe that my favorite scripture verse is John 10:10. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. I believe we experience full life on mission trips. This is the thing, and Brian actually talked about this in his message a couple weeks ago. But a lot of times in our own little lives, we are at the center of it, and we put Jesus and God somewhere out there in the peripheral, and we kind of put God in a relationship with Christ in the same perspective where we put our job or our church or our extracurricular activities. So everything kind of revolves around us, and we give God his time, and we give school his time, and we give church that time, and we give football that time, but everything kind of rotates around us. And that's really kind of what we call the human paradigm. But the Jesus paradigm is that there's a king, and his name is Jesus Christ, and he is in the center. And everything revolves around the king. So when you wake up in the morning, the thought is not, what am I going to do, but what am I going to do to glorify Jesus Christ? God, how can you be so good to me? Jesus, how can you be so good to me? And what can I possibly do today to move your kingdom forward? So on a mission trip, everything is designed in that direction. You wake up in the morning, you don't have to worry about school, you don't have to worry about work, you don't have to worry about really family commitments or whatever you have with your family or extracurricular or football or soccer or cheerleading or whatever it may be. All you have to focus on that day is, Jesus, what you have been so good to me, and what can I do today to further your kingdom? And so when you live that for a week, whether it's here in Dallas or whether that's in South Dakota at Pine Ridge Reservation or San Antonio, it doesn't matter, or England, Honduras, it doesn't matter where it is. But when you focus your day, that what happens is you begin to experience the pleasure of our Lord, and you begin to experience abundant life. And you begin to experience of what it's like to put yourself out of the center and put Jesus in the center. Now, listen, if we can do that on a mission trip, we can taste that and we can realize, well, we can do that here. We can do that in Dallas. We can do that when we're a junior in high school, a seventh grader in middle school. We can do that when we're an engineer. We can wake up with the same perspective, like, hey, listen, I'm going to go be an engineer today, but really, what can I do today to further the kingdom of God? And so when we kind of make that shift, it helps us put everything in perspective. I think mission trips teach us that. And that's why it's so important for us. I believe it's training ground for us. I believe it's training ground to help us understand we need to put Jesus at the center of our life at all times. And also, it's just a mandate. Jesus Christ teaches us to do that. Wherever we partner, we always partner with churches or partners from our church. Many of them have been a part of our church at one time. So we get to be a part of the expanded kingdom. And so we have a share of the kingdom, what we're doing here, but we also get to be a part of what God's doing in the kingdom all across this globe. It makes our eyes and ears open up to how vast and big and how gracious God is. And so I love it for multiple reasons. But one of the reasons I love it the most is because we experience his pleasure when we're a part of mission trips. And so you know that anything that we do, we're standing on the legacy of many others have gone before us. And it's such an honor and a privilege. So my hope is that you don't stop at one. My hope is that you do it every year. You're a part of a mission trip every single year, because I think it is fundamental to your faith. How many of you in this room have not been on a student mission trip ever? Okay, great. Well, we hope that you are a part of it, and we hope that it changes the trajectory of your life forever. So, Pearson, I don't know who I'm giving it to.
Thanks so much. Hey, so what we want to do real quick is, this is really probably why most of you came, and we'll be brief. I know that we're probably all hungry. But we just want to walk through each trip. And so the first one is the trip that is coming up the soonest, and that is our spring break trip, which the lovely folks of the various school districts represented in this room have decided it would be a good idea to have 2 spring breaks, which we just absolutely love when that happens. But the first one, and I apologize, I don't know which one is which, but the first one is March 6th to the 11th, and the second is the 13th through the 18th. And we will be going to San Antonio. This is obviously new. You guys are used to Honduras, and you may be asking, why not Honduras? There's a few things, but the biggest thing that you need to understand is we feel like it's a little overly ambitious to think that we'll be able to travel internationally come March. So that's the logistical reason. The secondary and probably the more important reason is that we started to plan a trip to San Antonio in July after Serve Dallas was canceled, and we got really excited about it. South Dakota, sorry. And we got really excited about it, and we really do feel like the Lord is in this, and so we'll be partnering with a guy that actually Richard connected us with named Bill. I almost said Bill Hayden. Bill Morgan, thank you. Kind of similar story to Bill Hayden, actually, ironically. Bill Hayden is our connection in Honduras. But Bill Morgan has been working in inner city San Antonio for 10 plus years, and he helps oversee a ministry as well as kind of participates in a small church there. And as he would call, using his own words, the hood of San Antonio. The pastor of this church, I actually got to meet, it's not Bill, but he's a super fascinating dude. He's an ex-convict and is ministering, actually accepted Christ in prison, and is now ministering to the very community in which he lived in. And so it is urban inner city ministry at its finest. We'll be hopefully connecting. San Antonio actually has 2 weeks of spring break, so both trips will get to participate in kind of some sports camps. You don't have to be sporty to go on this trip at all, but some sports camps at a couple parks there. We'll be helping some folks just in the community. If you're familiar with San Antonio, picture downtown and the Riverwalk. It's really just east of I-10, I think. Those of you that are familiar with San Antonio, don't quote me on that. But it's close to the city center, and it's going to be a really, really sweet trip. A couple of you have spring breaks both weeks. I think our Garland, Rowlett, Saxe folks do. You're welcome to come on either trip. If your school district decides to do 2 weeks of spring break, then we would extend that invitation for you to come on either trip. And so with this being a new trip, I'm sure there might be some questions. I would love to answer some of those. Are you going to talk about price, or do you want me to?
You can, or I can.
No, I can talk about it. So for this trip, you're looking probably, we always give a range because some of the travel costs fluctuate as we get closer to purchasing things, but probably $400 to $500. We will either stay at a hotel or at a partner church. But that $400 to $500 would include travel to and from San Antonio, housing, and most meals except for maybe 2 meals throughout the week. So that would all be included in that $400 to $500. And most excitingly,
I want to say
I almost forgot.
I want to say it.
No, I want to say it.
I want to say it.
So what's really exciting about this is
Junior hires get to come.
7th and 8th graders will be invited to participate in Serve San Antonio. So we're super excited about that. That's another reason that we felt really confident about this idea is this is not to say that we were necessarily doing it wrong previously, but we feel like 7th and 8th graders should be afforded the opportunity if they choose and if you think your student can handle it to come on some of these trips too. So this will be a 7th through 12th grade trip. Party.
And the dates again are the 6th through 11th and the 13th through the 18th. So it'll be leaving on a Saturday, coming back on a Thursday. So you'll get a long weekend before school. What? Oh, that COVID. So then the second trip will be in the summer, and we are aiming for our first international trip, which will be Serve England, which will be July 2nd through the 12th. And we are again going to partner with UK USA Ministries, hoping to have a couple different teams in the northeast area of England, hopefully having a York, England team and a Teesside, England team. And so we're hoping to take, that will be 10th through 12th grade, so our upperclassmen plus our 10th graders. And the price range for that, it will fluctuate depending where, we don't know what's going to happen with airfare in the pandemic season. So we're aiming a bit higher right now, but we could see what will happen with that. But around 12 to 15, we'll see. Maybe a little bit less. We'll see what happens with all of that. But we're super excited. So with Serve England, in the past, we've gone into schools and served in religious education classes and then served in a church. it might look a little bit different because we don't know if we'll be allowed in schools, because we don't know if they're letting in outsiders, especially people from another country, into schools right now. And so it might look a little bit different. We might be serving in different ways. So we're just going to be flexible with what that looks like. But Pierce and I had a really good FaceTime about a month ago with John Stewart, who is the director of UK USA Ministries, and Christina, that's who works for him as well. And so we just talked about what it could look like and other ways that we could serve the church and just the surrounding communities. For those of you that don't know, that is actually where I lived for a while and served for 3 years. And so England, you might think it's a first world country. Why are we serving there? It actually is about 3% evangelical Christian. So most people in England don't know Jesus. And so it's a lot of atheist and agnostic people, so it's a lot of gospel-centered conversations that we'd be having, getting to share the gospel with people who maybe have never entered a church environment before. And so it's a cool postmodern, post-Christian culture that your student could walk into and have some cool conversations. So again, the dates are July 2nd to the 12th.
All right, so let me talk about a trip that 7th and 8th graders were always allowed to go to. Surf Dallas, all right? You heard a couple of parents talk about how much they love Surf Dallas. Surf Dallas is in the week of July. I think the 22nd, 25th? The dates, can't remember, but it's in July. And Surf Dallas, I'm looking around to see who hasn't been to Surf Dallas and doesn't know about it, but Surf Dallas is the local mission trip, local surf trip, and how that usually looks like. We house students at Creekside. So students stay at Creekside during the week from Monday through Friday. We do some different activities in the mornings. We usually serve at we usually have some partnerships that we serve at. So we did Feed My Starving Children a couple of years ago. We served Bonton Farms a couple of years ago. Also worked with a church in South Dallas and helping their church kind of get up to date with their technology. Also did some homeless ministry stuff with Cornerstone Church in Dallas. So usually the mornings are filled with some different service opportunities at churches or at organizations. The afternoons are filled with training sessions because we want our students not only to feel like they are on mission that week, but we want them to be fully equipped to be on mission every week of their lives. So we have some training stuff usually that afternoon for them to learn how to always be on mission. And then in the evenings, we go to Park Central, our church. One of the things that our staff loves about not only student staff, but the whole wide church staff that we love about Serve Dallas is that we continue what our church is doing year round. So you guys may not be aware, we have some folks who are working in Park Central area doing ESL and doing some different things throughout the week, some after-school programs in that area, Park Central. And Serve Dallas Week, our students really just get to be part of the year-round ministry that's going on there. So it's a cool part for us to be a part of, and a cool thing for us to be a part of. And what our students love most about it is they get to serve with their friends. They get to live with their friends for a week and get to serve with their friends. So obviously, I mean we're talking about pre-COVID kind of stuff, so we're always going to look for ways to make sure things are safe. But this is assuming things are somewhat back to normal. That's kind of how it looks like. And the price range for Serve Dallas is usually in the $150 $250 range. So it's on a cost spectrum. It's at the bottom there. But like I said, it is a couple of years ago. Was it 2019? We had our students. They led 35 folks to the Lord during the week. So you can just imagine we come on stage and we talk about discipleship and sharing the gospel with your friends. So to see our students doing that, you can get an idea, get a picture of how exciting of a week it is for them to actually put those things we tell them into action, into practice. So it is a beloved week for a lot of our students. For us, we certainly love getting to do it. And we were supposed to do some more of a sports flavor, Serve Dallas this year, and of course that wasn't able to happen. But we will always look for ways for Serve Dallas to take place. So that is Serve Dallas.
Yes, and then lastly, this one has a bit of an asterisk next to it because we're wanting to see what people might want to come, but we are talking about possibly having a Spain option this summer around the time the England trip is happening. So that will be in conversation, but so Serve Spain might be happening around the same time in July, 2nd to 12th. We had a group of 10th grade ladies go in July of 2019. Is anybody in this room go on that trip? Nobody in this room
They've all
went on that trip.
graduated.
No, I think they're seniors now.
Oh yeah.
They're seniors now.
Oh okay.
But we had, I think, about like Molly Tyler led a group of like 9 10th grade girls, and it was absolutely fantastic. They went and served, and they had some amazing stories from that. So that's the last trip that we are still in conversation about, but want to put out there to see what people are interested. And so finally, we have a QR code that we could pop up on the screen. If you would take a picture of this and fill out this form, it will literally take you about 15 seconds to fill out. But if you're in this room, we need you to fill this out because we just want to see your interest. This is not you signing up for a trip. This is not you applying for a trip. This is just you saying, hey, I might be interested in more information about this trip. So it just has you fill out your name, your email, and checking a box.
Yeah, and credit card info, right?
Yes, your social security number.
I'm just
kidding.
playing.
And if you're online, the information will be in the chat. So if you could fill that out, that would be fantastic.
Boom.
Yes. And we will be up here for questions afterwards, but we want to let everybody else go eat some lunch. But the last thing I want to say is we obviously know we are in a pandemic at the moment, and so all of these trips will be planned as if they are happening. But yes, we do know that there is a pandemic happening. So we are planning them as refundable as possible. So we're planning as if they're happening, but we do know the circumstances. I just want to say that. So, yeah, we're going to let Pierce talk.
They will be, one of two things will happen. They'll either be fully refundable, or you will agree, as some of you did, that if you agree past a certain date, the best we'll be able to do for your flights would be a voucher on whatever airline we choose. So you'll agree to that if we get into that kind of gray space. So anyways, anything else? Let's dismiss. Feel free to come ask us questions. Thank you so much.